All right, welcome to your very own deep dive. You wanted to explore the Bhagavad Gita, right?
That's right.
And starting with, you said, chapter 1. That's what
Yeah.
we're here to do, and I think you mentioned something of the unusual setting, right? A battlefield
Mm-hmm.
for a philosophical text.
Yeah, it's a pretty striking way to start things off, isn't it? I mean, picture it. Two huge armies ready to clash, thousands of soldiers, chariots, elephants. You can practically feel the tension.
Oh, yeah.
And right in the thick of it, we meet our main character, Arjuna.
Arjuna, who is like, he's a warrior,
Oh, he is. He's considered one of the best.
one of the best.
Yeah.
But then he has this moment, right?
He does. He has a complete meltdown.
Like a total meltdown, and it's like, it's physical, right? He's not just sad. He's like, he can't even.
No, it's visceral. The text describes him trembling, his mouth goes dry, he's overwhelmed with despair, and it's all because he looks across the battlefield and he sees his family,
Wow.
his teachers, people he's known his entire life, but they're on the other side,
On the other side.
and he's basically being asked to fight them.
I get it. I mean, that's a lot for anyone to process, let alone right before a battle.
Exactly. And that's what makes the Bhagavad Gita so brilliant. It uses this incredibly dramatic setup, this epic scale of conflict, to explore something that's universally human. I mean, haven't we all felt that pull in different directions? That struggle between what we feel we should do
Right.
and what our heart is telling us.
Yeah, absolutely. And what does Arjuna do? I mean, he's in this crisis, this total meltdown moment. Like, what happens next?
Well, he does something that, honestly, many of us would probably do in a similar situation. He turns to someone he trusts for guidance,
Okay.
his charioteer, Krishna.
Krishna.
Yeah. But here's the thing, and this is a big one. Krishna is not just any charioteer.
Okay.
He's an avatar of the divine. So this conversation, this seemingly simple exchange between a warrior and his charioteer, it becomes a dialogue between a man and the divine.
Oh, wow.
A search for ultimate truth in the face of overwhelming adversity.
So we've got this incredible setup, right? We've got Arjuna. We've got this impossible choice. We've got Krishna. It feels like, I don't know, it feels like chapter 1 is almost like, it's almost like a trapdoor.
Trapdoor.
It's like it drops us right into the heart of this dilemma,
Yeah.
and it makes you think, what do we do when we're faced with choices like that?
It's a powerful question, isn't it? And it's exactly what Krishna starts to unpack for Arjuna in the chapters that follow.
And that's what we'll be unpacking in our next
I
part.
can't wait.
So we were just talking about how chapter 1 of the Bhagavad Gita just kind of throws us right into the middle of Arjuna's, well, his meltdown, really, right?
It does, doesn't it?
I mean, facing this just impossible decision.
Impossible.
And we were talking about that feeling, remember?
Yep.
Being pulled in different directions, that inner turmoil. And, it's like even a warrior, even someone as seasoned as Arjuna can just be completely undone by it.
And it's, in those moments when you feel totally lost, that the need for guidance, for some kind of different perspective becomes just so urgent. And, think about it. Have you ever found yourself in a situation like that where you're facing some big decision
Oh, yeah.
and you don't know which way to turn? I mean, obviously Arjuna's choice is, life or death, but the feeling itself, that doubt, that uncertainty, it's something I think a lot of us can relate to.
Absolutely. And there's that line, right, from chapter 1 where Arjuna says, I don't see any good in killing my own people in this battle.
It's so powerful.
It's like it just completely encapsulates that feeling of hopelessness.
Yeah.
He's looking at the consequences, the potential for suffering, and it's like he's questioning what's the point of it all?
And what's so fascinating is that instead of just kind of brushing aside Arjuna's doubts, Krishna really leans into them. He recognizes that true understanding can only come from actually confronting those really difficult questions. It's like he's saying, let's unpack this together. Let's look at your assumptions and see where they lead us.
And it's in that process, right, of questioning, of exploring,
Yeah.
that the Bhagavad Gita introduces these key concepts, dharma and karma.
Yes.
And these aren't just like abstract ideas. I mean, they offer a really practical framework for understanding our actions, our choices, and ultimately our purpose, in the bigger picture of things.
Absolutely. Let's start with dharma. It's often translated as duty, but it has a much deeper meaning in the Bhagavad Gita. It's not about blindly following rules or fulfilling expectations that society puts on us.
Right.
It's about living in alignment with your true nature.
Okay, I think I get that. But can you give us an example? Like what does it actually mean to live in alignment with your true nature?
Sure. Well, think about a musician, right?
Okay.
Who has this natural talent and passion for music. Their dharma might be to express that creativity, to share their music with the world, or consider a teacher who finds just deep fulfillment in nurturing young minds. Their dharma might be to guide and inspire their students.
So it's about recognizing your inherent strengths, your passions,
Yeah.
and using those to contribute to the world.
Yes.
It's not just about what you do, but how you do it.
Exactly. And that's where Arjuna's inner conflict comes in.
Okay.
I mean, he's a warrior, yes, but he's also a man of compassion and integrity.
Right.
So his dharma isn't simply to fight, it's to fight for what's right, to uphold justice,
Right.
to protect the innocent.
Okay. So that brings us to karma. It's a term that gets used a lot, and I think often it's kind of oversimplified to mean what goes around comes around.
Yeah.
But the Bhagavad Gita, it gives us a much more subtle, more nuanced understanding of karma.
It does. It's about understanding the relationship between action and consequence, but it goes beyond just a simple cause and effect. It's about recognizing that every action, even a thought, even an intention, creates a ripple effect. It shapes not just our external world,
Yeah.
but also our inner landscape.
So it's not just about the action, it's about the intention behind it. Like
Yeah.
if you do something out of love, it's going to have a different impact karmically than if you do the same thing out of anger or resentment.
Precisely. The Bhagavad Gita really emphasizes that the quality of our actions matters. It matters just as much as the actions themselves.
Right.
And it encourages us to be aware of our motivations, to act with intention.
Mindfulness.
Yeah, and understanding that our choices have consequences that reach far beyond just that immediate moment.
So we've got dharma, which is, this idea of living in alignment with our true nature, contributing to the world in a meaningful way. And we've got karma, which is this principle of action and intention, understanding that our choices shape not only what happens outside of us, but also our inner state of being.
And what's so powerful is that these concepts are interconnected. They work together to create a framework for navigating life.
For making choices that are aligned with our deepest values and aspirations.
Exactly.
Before we move on, I just want to pause for a second and connect this back to you, the listener. As we've been talking about dharma, have you thought about your own talents or passions? Those things that you do effortlessly, that bring you joy, that give you a sense of purpose.
I'm thinking about karma. Are there any choices that you're facing right now where really thinking about the intention behind your actions might change your perspective? Maybe there's a decision that feels really heavy.
Right.
Or a situation that's just causing you a lot of stress.
Hold on to those thoughts as we move into part 3, because we'll be exploring another really crucial element of the Bhagavad Gita, the concept of the self. Welcome back to our deep dive into chapter 1 of the Bhagavad Gita. We've been, really getting into Arjuna's crisis, his struggle with, duty versus personal attachments and all that. And we've talked about dharma, aligning with your true nature, and karma, understanding the impact of your actions and intentions and all that. But there's one more piece of the puzzle we need to explore.
And it's a big one.
Okay.
The Bhagavad Gita doesn't just give us a framework for how we act in the world. It also points to a deeper understanding of ourselves, the concept of the self. It's often referred to as the Atman.
Okay, so we've talked about dharma and karma, which seem to be more about, our outward actions, the choices that we make. But what does this idea of self bring into the picture?
Well, think about it this way. Who are you really? I mean, are you simply your body, your thoughts, your emotions? Or is there something more? A deeper essence that exists beyond those fleeting experiences? That's what the Bhagavad Gita is exploring with this concept of the self. It suggests that there's a part of us that's eternal, unchanging, a spark of the divine that resides within each and every one of us.
So it's like there's this deeper dimension of our being, a core that's not really affected by all the ups and downs of life, the constant fluctuations of our thoughts and feelings and all that.
Exactly. And connecting with that deeper self, that eternal aspect of our being, is where true peace and liberation can be found. It's like discovering a wellspring of strength and wisdom within, a source of resilience that can help us get through even the most difficult situations.
Now, I can see how this concept of the self ties in with with what we've been talking about
Yeah.
with dharma and karma. I mean, if we understand our true nature as being connected to something larger than ourselves, it might make those difficult choices, those dharma-driven actions, a little bit easier to face.
Absolutely. It's like having this inner compass that guides us towards what's truly right, even when the outside world feels chaotic and confusing. And when we act from that place of inner alignment, our karma, the ripple effect of our choices, it becomes more harmonious as well.
So let's bring it back to Arjuna. He's on the battlefield facing this impossible decision, consumed by doubt and despair. How does understanding the self, this deeper aspect of his being, help him move forward?
Well, imagine the weight of Arjuna's dilemma, right? He doesn't see a good outcome. He only sees suffering and loss. But by recognizing his true self, this unchanging eternal essence within, he can access a strength, a wisdom that transcends that immediate situation.
It's like even though he's surrounded by chaos, there's this inner core of peace that he can tap into.
Exactly. And that's what allows him to move through his fear and doubt, to make choices that are aligned with his dharma, his true purpose, even when those choices are hard.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into chapter 1 of the Bhagavad Gita, I mean, we've covered a lot of ground. We've explored Arjuna's crisis on the battlefield, the concepts of dharma, karma, and the self, and how these ideas can offer us a framework for understanding our own lives, our choices, our place in the world.
And remember at the beginning when you asked, why start a philosophical text on a battlefield?
Yeah.
Now we see how that setting, that chaotic setting, actually mirrors the internal battles that we all face. It highlights that universal struggle between our desires, our doubts, and our yearning for something more.
And the Bhagavad Gita, it gives us a path through that struggle. It encourages us to examine our motivations, align with our true nature, and understand the impact of our choices. It reminds us that even in the middle of all the chaos, we have the power to choose our actions, to cultivate inner peace, and to live a life of purpose and meaning.
It's a message that resonates as much today as it did thousands of years ago. And it all starts with that first step. Recognizing that even when we're in our darkest moments, in moments of doubt and despair, there's a source of wisdom and strength inside us waiting to be discovered.
So, as we leave you to continue exploring the Bhagavad Gita, we encourage you to think about what really resonated with you. What are the battlefields in your own life? What difficult choices are you wrestling with?
And how can these concepts, dharma, karma, and the self, help you navigate those challenges and make choices that align with your true nature and purpose? Remember, the journey itself is the destination. The wisdom, the insights, the transformation, it all unfolds as we engage with these teachings and apply them to our lives.
Until next time, keep diving deep.